Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. I'm in the building right now, man. I wanted to jump in here and celebrate 2Pac's All Eyez on Me. 2Pac's All Eyez on Me is celebrating 29 years today. Now, for the people who weren't there, this album, I think it needs to be documented in many different ways. 2Pac is 2Pac, right? All Eyez on Me, it separates itself in history in many different ways. In my personal opinion, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section or whatever. But I feel like All Eyez on Me is the first blockbuster hip hop album release. Now, let me go ahead and clarify that. Obviously, the Chronic and Doggy Style, those are very, very huge in the commercial market. And, I'm big on the fact that the music industry, sales don't mean everything. But I will say this, when it comes to hip hop, in this very pivotal time, it was important for the hip hop industry and hip hop artists to be able to show that, these artists are worthy of big budgets. These artists are worthy of being able to take this genre that people looked at in some ways as more of a, I don't want to say an underclass genre, but more of a niche market. This can be a global success. Now, granted, you have people like Dre and Snoop with the Chronic and Doggy Style, and NWA as well, and some others that set the groundwork. Now, I know MC Hammer's out there. MC Hammer's a whole different beast. But when I look at All Eyez on Me, and we think about the whole build-up from when Pac was coming out of jail, signing to death row, the MTV coverage that it was getting, the BET coverage it was getting, the exclusive interviews, and the way that he was able to articulate what this move meant, and the fact that this was going to be a double disc. I'm trying to think of a hip-hop double disc in the CD era that was before it. I don't think there were any. And that was such a lofty lofty expedition in itself to go out there and say, you know what, I'm gonna make a double disc out the gate. Many people felt like, okay, well, the marketing part of it back then was, Pac's been locked up, so he's just been writing or whatever. But if you look at some of his interviews, he was like, it's the opposite of that. You're not inspired when you're, locked in a cell and you're behind those walls. So we know now that wasn't what it was, but I will say this. This album is that tour de force. I talk about Get Rich or Die Trying being such a big effort and being such a all hands on deck effort, and the industry coming together to support that blockbuster effort, if you will. All Eyez on Me is the first one I ever seen in that light. And it starts with the California Love video. When you have 2Pac signing to death row, that news was huge. It was a huge, huge acquisition in hip hop, one of the first of its kind in that way and with that magnitude. And then he's collaborating with Dr. Dre, and then they do this California Love, which is an anthem out the gate. And look at the budget for that video, for that music video. This video looks like a Hollywood production, like a full-on production. Like I said, outside of Hammer's Too Legit to Quit, I can't think of a hip-hop video that had that level of, you had seasoned actors in there. You had people like Chris Tucker in there. You had George Clinton in there. Roger Troutman was in there. And the whole Mad Max thing, like, they spared no expense to go out there and put that record out on such a large scale. And again, double disc. And let's look at the track list, right? This album has everything. And this album has hit records. It has album records. It was everything that you needed. You had the album starting off with Ambitions as a Rider. Boom. Then you got Every Other City We Go. It's All About You. Hit single as well. America's Most Wanted, hit single. You want some East Coast shit, you got Mom Made Up with Das, Corrupt, Method Man, Redman. Some people have heard the Inspector Deck version on there. You got songs like Life Goes On there. You got songs like, How Do You Want It? Another banger where he's addressing everything. When we talk about content and we talk about radio records, we talk about album records and album cover cuts, and we talk about subject matter, you got I Ain't Mad At You as a single as well. Like, this album has so much on it, and it catered to so many people. It's like an artist that has a conscious focus and is able to do all of the things that the radio needs at that time. He's showing every aspect of hip hop, from the performance side of it to the theatrical side of it, if you want to talk about the videos, to the radio records, to records that are a little bit more in depth, like Life Goes On. He's giving you every spectrum of hip hop. I've always said that Tupac is like the evolution of all of the great MCs that we knew before him, all in one. He gives you a little bit of Chuck D. He gives you a little bit of LL Cool J. He gives you a little bit of Ice Cube. And he gives you a little bit of, even Face. Like, he's that storytelling as well. Like, he can give you all of those MCs wrapped in one. And even on My Mind Made Up, where he's on there with Redman, Method Man, Corrupt, and Daz, like, the way he's rhyming on there, he's showing you that, I could do this too. And even when him and Snoop made the classic America's Most Wanted, like, he's showing that he can adapt with those styles as well. I mean, I don't think that we saw that balanced of an effort from anybody in hip hop before it, or, maybe even after it. I mean, the closest thing to it after it, I would say, is Biggie's All Eyez on Me. And, this album, I think it goes understated in the history of hip hop because Tupac is Tupac. Tupac is bigger than the album, but when we look at All Eyez on Me, and you look at the track list, and you look at the grand slams that this album has, you have to put it in a top album conversation. It has to be. It just has too much on it. Let me go down the track list so people don't think I'm tripping. And I want to know in the comment section, what is you guys' favorite song from All Eyez on Me? But let me go to this track list real quick. So many records too. You got Ambitions as a Rider. You got All About You, Scandalous. You got My Mind Made Up, How Do You Want It, Two of America's Most Wanted, No More Pain, Hearts of Men, Life Goes On, Only God Could Judge Me, Trade and War Stories, California Love Remix. You got I Ain't Mad at You, and you got What's Your Phone Number. And this is just disc 1. Then we go to disc 2, and then we got You Can't See Me, Shawty Wanna Be a Thug, Holla at Me, Wonder Why They Call You a B, When We Ride, Thug Passion, Picture Me Rolling, Check Out the Time, Rather Be Your Nigga, All Eyez on Me, Run the Streets, Ain't Hard to Find, Heaven Ain't Hard to Find. Heaven Ain't Hard to Find. Listen, man, to me, when I look at this album, it looks like LA and the Bay. He was able to give both of those sides of the West Coast evenly. He had a lot of material, a lot of bar work, obviously. And he had a lot to write. He had a lot to execute, and he did it in such a short period of time. This album is phenomenal. And again, to have a lofty type of undergoing of putting out a double disc in this era, like no one had even attempted to do so. Now, me personally, I struggle between two songs as far as my favorite song on the album. I love No More Pain. Devontae on the beat. Shout out to Devontae from Jodeci. Timbaland was in that camp. I believe Timbaland worked on that beat. I think Timbaland confirmed that. I've always said I thought Timbaland, did some work on that beat. It's between that record and Only God Can Judge Me. And for two totally different reasons. I really connect with Only God Could Judge Me. I love the production on it. I love his message. I love the way he executed on that record, and I love the stuff he was saying. Like, he really gets in depth. Pac's gift is the fact that he makes you feel where he's coming from, no matter where he's coming from and the position that he's coming from with it. And he really did a lot of that on Only God Could Judge Me. Shout out to Rappin' Forte on there too, representing the Bay. And I love the fact that Pac continuously sprinkled the Bay into this album because he knew it was going to be a big moment, and he knew that the Bay was important to him, his origins, and he wanted to execute on that properly. Now, No More Pain. That shit sounds like the future. Sonically, man, like that record, I couldn't tell you what year that record came out. It sounds way more advanced than what we're normally hearing from 1996, and that's no disrespect. It's just a tribute to how incredible that this MC was, and even his beat selection and his production on this album. DJ Quick did a lot of mixing on this album out here too. It's a lot of great musical ears on this album. And there's so many anthems and so many classic records. Some people would say that It would have been better as one disc, and obviously, if you cut this album down to one disc, it is a superpower. But I think this is one of those double discs that I'm cool with it being a double disc because it just showed the range. It showed, the LA and it showed the Bay. Like it gave you a full range of who he was as an MC, as an artist, and just showed you that he was just versatile and sounded right with everything. And I love the fact that the industry came together and made this a powerhouse. And this is a big, big, big part of 2Pac's legacy. In my personal opinion, it's his best album. I know some people would say, Me Against the World. Not mad at that. Some people would say Machiavelli. I think those gave you a great snapshot of who he was as an MC. But this right here, to me, All Eyez on Me just gives you that full scope. Now, it's a lot of collaborations on it, but even with the collaborations, it feels like 2Pac's album. It's never a point in any of these collaborations where it doesn't feel like he's the center focus or it's about him. It's all about him, no pun intended. But You Can't See Me's crazy. Even though Dr. Dre, kind of used what he did for Snoop's What's My Name with the Knee Deep sample, but you can't go wrong with Knee Deep, and you can't go wrong with Dr. Dre utilizing Knee Deep in the G-Funk era. So I had to get on here, man, and give All Eyez on Me its props. I know the score from the Fugees came out today as well, and I want to make a bold statement. I do think that All Eyez on Me has to be, in history, if we're being honest here, being objective, All Eyez, my phone is blowing up. We're being objective. All Eyez on Me has to be top 15 in consideration for top 15. It's very difficult to say that there are 15 better and more important hip-hop albums in general. And I know that 2Pac, some of his best songs are on Me Against the World. I'm sorry, guys. My phone is blowing up. It was just a day in the life, right? I know some of his greatest songs are on Me Against the World, but if we look at this album can't be denied. It's just too much on it. It's just too much on it. And Ambitions as a Rider, I kind of glossed over that. That has to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, opening song on an album ever. And for the people who weren't there, man, All Eyez on Me, the rollout for that shit, it was a big, big deal. It was a big deal. You can go back and look at the interviews. I don't know if there has ever been a rollout that large in its time. Snoop Dogg had the fastest selling album for a debut album with Doggy Style. Doggy Style was pandemonium. Doggy Style got nothing but bangers. In my personal opinion, I would put Doggy Style ahead of All Eyez on Me. But if we talk about a blockbuster effort, and we talk about a blockbuster release from a superstar, and who had the video with the big budgets and all that to match, the behind the scenes footage of the music videos, I don't even remember them doing the behind the scenes on any music videos before the California Love joint. I have to say All Eyez on Me is that. And for that reason, and for what it means to the industry and where it actually took hip-hop from a, not just a socioeconomic standpoint, but just from a critical standpoint and from a formation standpoint, I gotta say All Eyez on Me is a top 15 hip-hop album all time. Yeah, I said it. That's it, man. Hit me in the comment section. Let me know if you think I'm tripping. Let me know what your favorite song on All Eyez on Me is. And you know what? I know some of y'all don't think that All Eyez on Me is better than Me Against the World. I would like to know in the comment section, why do you feel that way? And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would like to know, because All Eyez on Me has heavy hits, heavy hitters, heavy classics, and it gives you so much range. That's my argument for All Eyez on Me. Like I said, hit us in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Also, hit like and subscribe. I will see you guys on Monday with Servan, and we're going live. And shout out to the people on the Weekend Rhyme as well. Let's get it.